morning, folks. Happy Tuesday to you, and thank you for coming back and joining me tonight on Next on the Tee. I'm your host, Chris Mascaro, and tonight I'm excited to share two of my favorite guests with you in Mitchell Laurance and David Abeles, plus welcome PGA Professional Jason Hase to the show. This is going to be Jason's first time joining me. You hear me talking every week about Mitchell Laurance and his wonderful podcast, Talking Golf Getaways, which you can find on golfnewsnet.com as well as on Audio Boom, Stitcher, and really just about every place that you can find podcasts online. You're going to find his show. He and his co-host, Darren Bunch, they travel all over the world and let us know about great places to play, stay, and even eat sometimes when you're there. And not long ago, they reached an important milestone, their 100th episode, which we'll talk about. And as you probably remember from previous times that Mitchell has joined me here on the show, he exclusively plays hickory shaft clubs now. And one of the great players from the 1920s is connected to at least one of the clubs that Mitchell has in his bag. We'll talk about the story behind the player whose name is on his Mashie Niblick, and a whole lot more when Mitchell joins me here in just a few minutes. Following Mitch, I'm going to get a return visit from TaylorMade Golf CEO David Abeles. David has been a fantastic guest every time he's been on the show. Their M3 and M4 twist face drivers have been a huge success on tour so far this season. Guys like Dustin Johnson and Justin Rose, John Rahm, Rory McIlroy, Jason Day, all getting wins hitting those clubs so far this year. Tiger Woods is also using an M3 driver, and you see the distance he's getting from his driver. So a lot to get into with David. We'll talk about equipment. We'll talk about golf balls and a whole lot more. And he'll join me on the show a little bit later on in this half hour. And then we'll round out tonight's show with a visit, like I say, from PGA Professional Jason Hase. And Jason is the Director of Golf at Buffalo Dunes Golf Course in Garden City, Kansas. He's doing some wonderful things with junior golfers out there. Plus, he spent a lot of his career, just about all of his career, in northern Texas and Kansas. So he knows a thing or two about playing in windy conditions. So we'll get some tips from him about how to play in the wind. Do we need a different strategy when we're playing into a headwind or a crosswind? So we'll talk about that. And like I say, a whole lot more when Jason joins me a little bit later on in this hour. So a lot more great stories and information coming your way again tonight on this edition of Next on the Tee. Thank you so much for tuning in and taking the journey with me over the next hour. But before we get started, since I've already talked to you about Mitchell's show, well, let me remind you about his 4-minute younger brother and our good friend Matthew Laurance and his show Backspin Golf, which airs Sunday mornings from 8 to 9 a.m. Eastern Time. It's my regular Sunday 8:03 a.m. tee time. It's broadcast on WLXG ESPN Radio AM 1300 up in Lexington, Kentucky. You can stream it live by going online to WLXG.com or by downloading the WLXG app. Matthew's fantastic. It's a great way to start your Sunday mornings. I listen every single Sunday morning. It's like I say, it's the way that I kickstart my Sunday mornings. Again, it's called Backspin Golf, and you can find it on WLXG.com or by downloading the WLXG app. And folks, as you know, we are sponsored by the French Lick Resort. Let's hear a word from our good friend Steve Rondinero about the great things they've got going on up there.
Play legendary golf at French Lick Resort, the only place in the country where you can play courses by 2 Hall of Fame designers on the same property. Our Pete Dye and Donald Ross courses offer 2 very different challenges. Experience them both and save with our Hall of Fame package. Our 2 historic hotels are unique as well. Cap it off with a fun visit to the French Lick Casino. Check us out online at FrenchLick.com. Bring a group and save even more. Play legendary golf this season at French Lick Resort.
Yeah, folks, be sure to go online to FrenchLick.com to see for yourself what a wonderful place it is and to book your stay as well. And as you've heard me talking about over the last several months, Club Hub Sensors, the best portable shot tracking and swing analysis golf device out on the market. Other shot trackers tell you what happened. Club Hub's going to tell you what happened and why. Take the progress that you make on the practice tee directly to your rounds with the only device of its kind that can go on the course with you. I have Club Hub sensors on all of my clubs. They screw right into the tops of your grips. And I can tell you, since I put the Club Hub sensors on my clubs, I've learned more about my swing and all of the data surrounding it than I've learned over the 40 years I've been playing the game. Because not only do you get GPS distances to the hazards end of the green, but after your round, you can look back at the images and the layout of every hole in the course that you just played and see exactly where and how far you hit every shot. No other GPS tool on the market captures that and lets you go back and review your round the way the Club Hub app does. It's available for Androids or iPhones, and the app keeps track of your swing speed of every club in your bag, your tempo, your angle of attack, plus you get a 3D view of your swing as well. And again, no other rangefinder can do all that for you. Go over to clubhubgolf.com to order your set of Club Hub sensors today and enter the coupon code NEXT to get 10% off on all products at checkout. Again, clubhubgolf.com, enter the coupon code NEXT, and you're going to get the best GPS and swing analysis tool on the market for a great low price, and you're going to see your game in a whole new way. Please also check out our friends at the Bobby Jones Apparel Company by going online to bobbyjones.com. Their summer collection is out, and the shift in seasons is an opportunity to change things up layer upon layer. They've added some great details, fresh colors, new additions with genuine, enduring character. They make style easy. Find carefully coordinated outfits in a variety of colors and options online by going to bobbyjones.com. All right, now back with me here on the French Lick Resort guest line is Mitchell Laurance. And as you guys know, Mitch has become a wonderful friend of the show and of mine. You hear me mention his show every week at the top of the show because it's fantastic. It marries golf, travel, and even food sometimes about the best golf resorts in the world. Again, his show is called Talking Golf Getaways. It's available online by going to golfnewsnet.com or on Audio Boom. And like I said a minute ago, just about any place you can consume a podcast, you're going to find it on there. And I'm very jealous of the places that he and his co-host Darren Bunch have been to and the courses they've got to play. Early in his career, Mitchell was an actor, and you've seen him on TV or in movies, places like Santa Barbara, The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, One Tree Hill, which my family has been watching for a while now, Dawson's Creek, From the Earth to the Moon, one of my all-time favorite miniseries on HBO, and a host of other TV shows and movies. He's an amazing individual, and I'm so thrilled that I get to have him back with me again tonight here on Next on the Tee. Good evening, Mitch. Thanks for coming back on the show.
Wow. Take a breath.
All right,
you are just unbelievable, my friend. Unbelievable. It is great to be here, as always.
So,
I don't think people, as somebody who does this and as somebody who's done this for a living for a long time, I hope your listeners really appreciate how great you are at this. And I mean that sincerely. I'm not blowing smoke here because I've done this. I've worked with a lot of people, and there are just few people who are as good at what you do as you are. So let's get that out of the way.
I appreciate you saying that, my friend.
Okay.
So, Mitch, first of all, congratulations to you, right? Century mark reached on Talking Golf Getaways. Huge testament to you and Darren. You celebrated your 100th show, and you did it in grand style with Matt Janella. So talk about the century mark and what it means to you guys.
Well, you know, this all started really a couple of years ago. I'd been doing podcasts for a long time by myself. And it got to a point where Darren and I had become such good friends. We had my podcast, which was called Golf Connections, was on the Golf Getaways site, which he was running at the time. And we just got to a point. We were traveling a lot. We were going to great places. We had an amazing time together. It's one of those friendships that's grown out of golf, as you know, where you just wind up finding somebody who's a kindred spirit in so many ways. It's just a joke. And we would always go to these places, and we'd have a great time. We'd laugh a lot. We'd have deep discussions, the whole thing. And at a certain point, a much longer story, but we realized that there really wasn't anything in all the podcasts and all the shows that dealt specifically with golf travel, which is mind-boggling. It was to me then, and it still is. And so we talked about it, and we hooked up with now another great friend, Ryan Ballingy at Golf Newsnet. And we just decided to go ahead and do it. We said, we have such a great time, and the one thing that all golfers have in common, and I don't care who you are as a golfer, the one thing you have in common is that you travel to play golf. It may be 10 minutes down the road, it may be around the world, but every golfer travels to play. So we just started, and we didn't know where it was going to go. We thought if we have fun, other people will hopefully listen. And all of a sudden, as you said, boom, 100. And it was kind of a big number for us because we didn't know when we started if we'd get there. But it was fantastic, and we've had so many great people on the show. And Darren and I do some shows alone, and we just have a blast. We just get going and talk. And as you said, we were lucky to have Matt Janella join us, and really honored to have him join us because of all the people who take part in our game and spread the word. I think it's pretty apparent that not only is Matt the most visible of all those people, but I've known him for a number of years now. I met him just after he started with the Golf Channel. And we've had a lot of great talks over the years, just he and I. And when I got in touch with him and asked him if he'd be on the show for our 100th and 101st episodes, he was thrilled, and so were we. And I think they're among all the ones we've done. And I said this to Darren after we hung up. I said, I don't know that I've ever done an interview with somebody about golf that was as deeply moving in terms of his passion and what he's about as a person, not just as a golf person, but as a person, than that episode with Matt Janella. It just really blew me away. Still does. So anyway, it was great. I hope people can listen to it. They can find it, and listen to it and judge for themselves. But it really was a great, great episode to celebrate the anniversary.
Mitch, one of your most recent episodes was about Cabot Cliffs up in Nova Scotia. I love the picture of you on the love seat looking out at the ocean with the green behind you. Who knew golf courses in Nova Scotia had love seats on them? But it looked awesome. Talk about Cabot Cliffs.
Yeah, we, Darren and I have been to Cabot Links, is the name of the resort. Cabot Links was the first course there. It's in Inverness, on Cape Breton Island. And we had been there when that opened, and we got to go back last summer and when the Cliffs opened, which is the new Core Crenshaw design. And Cabot is just an unbelievable experience. I had never, all the time that I was kind of starting to grow up and play golf in all these different places, Nova Scotia wasn't really someplace that was on my list. And then once they opened the first Cabot course, the Links, was designed by a guy named Rod Whitman, who's a fantastic designer, and the whole experience of going to Cape Breton Island, and I can't talk about that enough. The whole island is mind-blowing. There's a bunch of great golf courses all the way around the island, and they have what's called the Cabot Trail that you can drive around the island. Stunning scenery. And then you drive into this little town called Inverness. And it doesn't look like anything. It kind of looks like you're just driving through this little Canadian town. And there's a guy named Ben Cowan-Dewar, who's the guy who first really started to push it. And then a number of other people got involved and jumped on board. And the Cabot Links, the first course, completely blew us away. Just totally blew us away. Then they added the Cliffs course, as I said, with Core and Crenshaw, a little further away on just an absolutely stunning piece of property. And the work that went into that one, as soon as they had shown us the land when we went up the first trip, they were talking about putting another course out there. And as soon as we saw it, we said, oh man, this is going to be, if you're a golfer, this is just going to be heaven. And we went up and it was true. And so this last episode, the episode on Cabot that we did, it was just Darren and me talking about Cabot, and we actually decided to do 9 things we love about Cabot. And then we went out on a little bit of a limb because we played the Cliffs course a bunch of times while we were there that week. And we said, you know what? We're gonna suggest 5 things that we think would make, as Darren put it, which I thought was great, that would make Cabot Cliffs even more amazinger. Because the first dive was amazing. And so we just kind of went out on a little limb and we said, here's 5 things that we think would add to the experience. And they were very kind about it. And, I think everybody who plays says, this was great. What about this? Why don't you add this? Why don't you do this? So that was the episode, and it turned out to be an hour, and we laughed a lot and had a lot of fun. And the memories of being at Cabot, if I could go every summer, I would just be there. I literally, both of us literally love it that much. There's so much to recommend it that it's hard to actually put into words. You just have to kind of go there and experience the courses, the hospitality, the food, the hotel. It's a very small kind of hotel. It's nothing big and ostentatious, but it's perfectly designed. And it's a fantastic experience.
And just to add to that, Golf Digest top 100 courses, it ranked number 9, number 1 in Canada. So that's how great it is. And folks, please go check it out online by going to cabotcliffs.com. And it looks like an absolutely amazing place. Good for you guys.
Yeah.
And
just briefly to mention what you talked about, that picture of that's behind the 18th green at Cabot Cliffs. And we played the first time, and we came up, and all of a sudden you see these couches and chairs up on this rise, which in all the golf courses I've ever played, I've never seen. And it's the most perfect spot to sit. Yeah.
Wow.
Seriously. I mean, they're there. You finish your round, and you can go and grab a drink and sit up on these couches overlooking this magnificent water and setting and watch the sunset. I didn't want to leave. I just wanted
No doubt.
Yeah.
So your most recent episode is about Streamsong, another fantastic resort. Talk about the golf course and your experience there.
Well, for us, again, it was interesting. We had both been there before, and Streamsong opened. It's about an hour and 20 minutes from Orlando. And anybody who's been to Florida knows that pretty flat, and it's central Florida, and you just kind of drive away from Orlando, and you're out there in the country and driving around, nothing going on. And you turn off, and you still feel that way. And then you come around a bend, and you look up, and you see what I think is the most interesting and unusual lodge that you've ever seen at a golf course. And that's the lodge at Streamsong. And so on our first trip, that's the first site we saw, and it completely blew me away. It looks almost like an industrial park building from the outside. And it was built by designed by a guy named Alberto Alfonso, who's a Cuban-born designer, and he's got offices around the world. And I have rarely, if ever, come across anybody who has done a more magnificent job with building a place for golfers to stay. It's a complete experience, and everything he designed into it. There's 216 rooms at the lodge. Everything that's involved in this lodge was carefully thought out relative to natural elements, the prehistoric past of this area, which is what makes Streamsong what it is. It was a phosphate mine. And it was mined for many years in the 1800s and into the 1900s. And because of the mining, they would dig out all this phosphate, and they would take everything that they dug out and just kind of dump it. And so as a phosphate mine, they closed it down, and there were all these dunes from the dirt that they took out of the earth to mine the phosphate. And phosphate is natural fertilizer. And what's happened is over the course of many, many years, this amazing vegetation has grown on these dunes. And so you're in the middle of Florida, but you're experiencing landscaping that almost reminds you of Scotland, which is pretty mind-boggling. Wow. And they opened Streamsong with a really amazing set of designers, Tom Doak and Corin Crenshaw. And they had 2 courses that they built, and at the time they got to each have a parcel of the land, and they did it. They designed these 2 courses and built them at the same time, which I don't know that that's ever happened anywhere, really. And these designers, too. I mean, Tom Doak is unbelievable, fabulous, Corin Crenshaw, and so they came away with the red and the blue. The red is the Corin Crenshaw, and the blue is the Tom Doak course. And they opened those 2 up, and instantly you've got an amazing golf resort. So we had played both of those and loved them. Truly different and just amazing place to play golf. And then when we went back this last trip, it was because we wanted to experience the 3rd course that they opened, which is called the Black. And it's a little bit away from the red and the blue. And Gil Hanse designed it. Most people would know Gil Hanse's name from designing the Olympic golf course. I mean, he's done a ton of other stuff too. He did Trump Doral, and he's done a lot of courses. People can check it out. But the Black is completely a different experience. It is an epic golf course. The scope of this course is huge, and there's tons of sand everywhere. And what Hase did with it, it's already become kind of controversial. There are some people who feel like it's too big and too much. There are other people like Darren and I who were just blown away by it. The green comp, they're huge greens. There's humps and hollows and bumps and rolls, and you have to experience it just to really get a feel for it. But that's why Darren and I wanted to go down this time. And, I mean, we could spend a whole show just talking about the black. Both of us were staggered by how great we thought it was and how much we enjoyed it, because it really brings in what we think is the most important part of the game and why we love links golf so much, in that, which is the fact that it is not a target game. It's a game of chance and a game of luck, even on well-struck shots. And that's what it offers. Anyway, to have the three of these courses at the same spot at Streamsong, in addition to what both of us feel is the best place if you're a golfer, the best lodging that you can stay in. When I tell you that the rooms at Streamsong at this lodge, Darren and I both said the podcast went up today. And on the podcast, both of us said what we thought at the time when we first stayed there, which was, if we didn't both have happy families, we could both live here in this room. That's how good the room is. It's just magnificently designed, big. I can't even, you have to go and look online to see what the rooms look like. And they have great restaurants. The bars are incredible. They now have, at the Black, they have a thing called the Gauntlet, which is a big putting course, and something called the Roundabout, which is a quick kind of, at the driving range, a quick bunch of holes that you can play to warm up. Total experience. And it's an hour and 20 minutes from Orlando. I mean, it's incredibly easy to get to. So the thrust of both the Cabot and this was just Darren and I talking about what we love. And these are two places that we absolutely, absolutely love. And I want to give a shout out to, relative to Streamsong, to Kemper Sports, who manages Streamsong, as well as most of the other great resorts in the country, because whenever you see the name Kemper Sports on a property, you can bet that they have thought of everything that you as a golfer want. I mean, they have their hand in Bandon, they have their hand there, they are really the real deal. And, between Kemper and the director of golf, who's a guy named Scott Wilson, who's fantastic, the teams they put together, just everybody, if you feel like I'm raving, it's because it's worth it. It's worth the trip, and you won't want to leave. That's how good it is.
So let's take that idea and a step further, and not just about that location, but when you think about golf, right? I mean, I'm sure, and I don't want to make you pick, hey, what are the top 5 courses that you played and that sort of thing. I want to kind of expand it out to the travel and lodging piece. What are some of the towns, Mitch, that you've been to that have a great vibe and just were a lot of fun, which made the golf trip or the golfing that much better because you got to hang out in these great towns?
Well, I think the one for me in terms of the United States, I mean, Scotland and Ireland is a totally different story, because to me, golf is an integral part of most towns and cities. So that's a whole different vibe, but we're getting some of it. We're starting to get some of it. The first that jumps to my mind is Pinehurst, because the village of Pinehurst, between the lodging and the restaurants and all the different possibilities, that lends itself to what is obviously great golf and the home of American golf. So for somebody like me who loves history and likes to have a good time when I'm with my friends and go out at night, Pinehurst has pretty much everything. Places like Streamsong and Bandon don't really have a town. They don't really have a city, that you can hang your hat on. You can get in the car and go into Bandon, which is a great little Oregon town. And like I said, you're an hour and 20 minutes from Orlando, but that's kind of, you don't want to be leaving the Streamsong property. I would definitely say Pinehurst is number 1 on my list. As far as places I've been where you can go and have a great, great time. There's other places. Chicago has great golf. there's places like that, but the place that really, if I had to say one spot which combines a great village, it would be Pinehurst.
Got my next guest, TaylorMade CEO David Abeles, hanging on the line. Mitch, one more before we let you go. Right? Talk about your hickory clubs here for a minute. And as I've been doing more research into,
as you're getting ready to have David on and TaylorMade, it's perfect.
Indeed. But as I've been looking more into the history of golf and going back to, Bobby Jones's era and learn more about the guys that, played against him in the 20s and the 30s and, early part of the Masters and all of that. One of the players that I've recently talked about on social media is MacDonald Smith, perhaps the greatest player to never win a major. And you snap a picture
Correct.
on top of that of your Mashie Niblick, which has his name stamped on it. Talk about who he and his brothers were.
Well, MacDonald Smith is a really interesting character, and I actually have an entire set. They're not original MacDonald Smiths. They're what were called duplicate MacDonald Smiths, and they were made based on the clubs that MacDonald Smith used. He was from Carnoustie, as was the rest of his family. He came to the United States, and as you said, he played on the PGA Tour. He won 24 times, never won a major. The thing that always got to me, because his brothers, Willie and Alex, they were all great golfers, but he finished second at the Open Championship to his brother, Alex, in 1910. I mean, can you imagine? Just think about that for a while. These guys are from Carnoustie. They go, they play around the world, they come back, and then you wind up going and you have a great chance to win and your brother wins it. Now, you talked about my brother Matthew at the beginning of the show. I'm trying to imagine the two of us in that situation. I'm dreaming, obviously. That never happened and never would. But I just found MacDonald Smith. He's one of those guys that most people don't know about. But obviously a great player, was a great force in the West in golf in America, played on the PGA Tour and loved him. And I had found another iron that had the specs that I loved, the Hickory Club. And unlike most modern clubs, as David will tell you, obviously, where you can be fit and your shaft can be frequency tested so everyone's the same, hickories are all individual clubs. So you have to literally look for different clubs, and each one of them is completely different. And when you find one that you like, you try to find other ones that are somewhere in the ballpark. And I had found an iron that I liked, and then went online, and lo and behold, I found a set of these duplicate MacDonald Smith irons made by George Nicol, who was one of the great club makers from Leven in Scotland. And there was a whole set for sale. And the great thing about these, they were the first sets of clubs that actually had numbers on them. So the club will say, for example, it'll have the number 5, but it'll still say mid-iron. Or it'll say 9 and it'll say Mashie Niblick, or that kind of thing. And they were all pretty much in the same swing weight that I wanted, that I liked. And so I went out and got them, and that's what I play with now. And I mix in a couple of other favorites. I mix them up, take some out sometimes, take those out sometimes, and it's an unbelievable connection to the game, because every time I pick a club and I look down at the club, that's what I see and that's what I feel. I don't hit it like MacDonald Smith did, but that's what I see and that's what I feel.
Mitch, before we let you go, remind our listeners again, how can they listen to you, your co-host Darren Bunch, and your show Talking Golf Getaways, and then follow you on social media as well?
Well, it's kind of you, Chris, obviously. GolfNewsNet.com is our home base, but you can, the other ways, iTunes podcasts and Audio Boom are both big for us, and people can rate the show, and that helps spread the word so other people can find out about it. You can find me Twitter and Instagram at Mitch Laurance. It's Laurance, and Darren, who's also a great follow. And you can find him on Twitter at Getaways Golf and on Instagram at Golf Getaways. So there you go.
Mitch, it's always a huge thrill for me to get to spend some time with you. Thank you so much for giving up part of your night to come back and be a part of the show. You're fantastic, my friend.
Anytime, Chris, and right back at you. There's no place I'd rather be and no place I'd rather talk than right here with you.
I appreciate you. Take care. All the best to you and your family, my friend. We'll catch up soon.
Thanks, Chris.
See you, Mitch. That's the great Mitch Laurance, and again, Talking Golf Getaways, and you can find it on golfnewsnet.com, over on Audio Boom, and like he said, just about any place you can consume podcasts, you're going to find it. And he and his brother Matthew are two very dear people now in my life that I've gotten to meet through this show, and I can't be thankful enough to both of them for not only for coming on this show, but for mentoring me off the air and being huge supporters, and I am huge supporters of both of theirs as well. All right, before I get to my next guest, David Abeles, I want to give a shout-out to a couple of our sponsors. First, folks, you've heard me talking about ClubHub sensors over the last several months. It's the best portable shot tracking and swing analysis golf device out on the market because other shot trackers tell you what happened. ClubHub's going to tell you what happened and why. You can take the progress that you make on the practice tee directly to your rounds with the only device of its kind that can go on the course with you. I have ClubHub sensors on all of my clubs. They screw right into the tops of your grips. And I can tell you, since I put the ClubHub sensors on my clubs, I've learned more about my swing and all the data surrounding it than I've learned over the 40 years I've been playing the game. Because not only do you get GPS distances to the hazards and the green, but after your round, you can look back at the images and the layout of every hole on the course that you just played and see exactly where and how far you hit every shot. No other GPS tool on the market captures that and lets you go back and review your round the way the ClubHub app does. It's available for Androids or iPhones, and the app keeps track of your swing speed of every club in your bag, your tempo, your angle of attack, plus you get a 3D view of your swing. No other rangefinder can do all of that for you. Go over to clubhubgolf.com to order your set of ClubHub sensors today and enter the coupon code NEXT to get 10% off on all products at checkout. Again, clubhubgolf.com, enter the coupon code NEXT, and you're going to get the best GPS and swing analysis tool on the market for a great low price, and you're going to see your game in a whole new way. Folks, I also have to tell you how excited I am about the new weapon I have in my golf bag. For the last month now, I've been playing the new M4 driver from TaylorMade. If you haven't tried their new twist face technology, you're missing out. I don't know about you, but I don't hit it in the center of the face every single time. After studying hundreds of thousands of swings from pros and amateurs like us, TaylorMade designed their new drivers to help protect us from our mishits and hit it straighter and get more distance as well. So whether your miss is on the low heel or the high toe, Twist Face helps bring the ball back to center, keeping the distance we want and finding the fairway more often. I'm hitting more fairways than I ever have. The new drivers are also the choice of some pretty good golfers you might recognize. Twist Face is played by Tiger Woods, Rory McIlroy, Dustin Johnson, Jason Day, Jon Rahm, just to name a few, and dominating the top 10 out on tour. So if you haven't tried Twist Face, go hit it and get fit. It's in the new M3 and M4 drivers and only from TaylorMade. And folks, this segment of the show is brought to you by our friends over at the PGA Tour Superstore.
This segment of the show is brought to you by the PGA Tour Superstore. See why golfers everywhere are proud to call PGA Tour Superstore their golf pro shop. Visit them online at PGATourSuperstore.com. Now back to Chris and more of the show.
And now back with me here on the French Lick Resort guest line is David Abeles. He is the CEO of TaylorMade Golf. Let me remind you about his background. He earned his degree in marketing and finance from the University of Connecticut. He joined TaylorMade as their general manager for their Asia Pacific division, later moved over to be director of sales for North America, left TaylorMade for Titleist and the Acushnet Company to become vice president of sales and marketing, came back to TaylorMade as their executive vice president and general manager, took over as CEO and president back in February of 2015, and I'm thrilled to have him back with me again tonight here on Next on the Tee. Good evening, David. Thanks for coming back on the show.
Hey, Chris. Pleasure to be there. Here. Thanks a lot.
So, David, first of all, it's been an amazing year so far for TaylorMade and your M3 and M4 drivers. Twist Face technology, helping guys like I mentioned here a moment ago, Justin Rose, Dustin Johnson, Rory McIlroy, Jon Rahm, and most recently Jason Day to get wins on tour. And we see how far Tiger's hitting it nowadays. So, you know, when you had joined me right before the PGA merchandise show earlier this year, you said, you know what, we're going to come out with something that's going to change drivers forever. And boy, have you.
Yeah, Chris, thanks. You know, I'm inspired just listening to you give us a little bit of a plug at the break and then coming in with all these terrific athletes that are playing new M3s and M4s. And yeah, I recall specifically our conversation just prior to the PGA show. And you could probably tell in my voice at that time that we were pretty excited, and that might be an understatement, about this new technology we're about to bring to golfers at every skill level in every area around the world, because as most of your listeners are probably aware, TaylorMade has a history of bringing advanced innovation into driver technology and other categories as well, but certainly leading with driver technology that over time has really reshaped the landscape of modern day driver design. So whether it was from persimmon or laminated woods, I was listening to your segment with Mitch earlier, talk about the history of golf club development, which was interesting, into metal woods, which is really the foundation of TaylorMade back in 1979, into thin cast wall titanium, into movable weight technology, into flight control, which is adjustable face angle and loft, into multi-material thermal composites, which really was the original M1, now all the way into twist face. It's pretty amazing how far we've come. But amidst all of these innovations, all of these new technologies and features that help golfers play better, and candidly, that's the mission of our company. Our goal is to help golfers play better golf. Twist face technology in my 25 years in this business is the most advanced technical revolution that the industry has ever seen in metalwoods. And it does precisely what you described, Chris. We have studied hundreds of thousands of shots, tracking shot data from player profiles at every handicap level across the spectrum, and have realized that there's a bit of a oblong shape in shot patterns. Most misses are high toe or low heel, and that's not just for average players like myself or perhaps some of your listeners. That's for athletes like Rory McIlroy or Jason Day or Dustin Johnson. And typically what happens when you miss a shot high toe, if you're a right-handed player, you see a hard draw or what we call a tumbler right to left. If you miss a shot low heel, it typically goes low and cuts to the right. Our goal was to take this shot data and design a face so that when you hit it high toe or low heel, again, where 95% of the misses are in every golfer, that we can get the ball not only to go far, we've solved that, but we can get it to go straight. So we've actually twisted the face, ironically, and we've closed the face in the heel, and we've opened the face in the toe so that when you hit these shots and miss these shots, ultimately they go straight. And what we've seen in terms of results in this technology, Chris, have been extraordinary. The athletes that you've mentioned, in fact, I just read some data today that every one of those athletes, from Tiger Woods to Rory McIlroy to Jon Rahm to Justin Johnson to Jason Day to Justin Rose, have all increased their driving accuracy by 2, 3, 4, and 5 percentage points versus prior year's technology. Think about that. That's significant. And on top of that, they're all hitting it further. So we're really, really proud of what M3 and M4 are delivering to golfers, and it's working.
So to take that a step further, David, I mean, the things you talked about a moment ago, right? You've already solved, distance, and you're giving us all more distance with the drivers. Now you're giving us more accuracy. What's left to do? Right? How much better can the next generation of the M Series be? If we're hitting it longer, we're hitting it straighter. Where do you go from here?
Chris, I'm glad you asked that question. And it's a common question that gets asked of our company with great frequency. And it's asked of us for one primary reason, is we tend to come up with these new concepts in a more efficient way than most. And so we're very proud of that. I was asked the other day, given all the USGA requirements and R&A requirements around golf equipment design, how much further can you go? If you asked me that question a decade ago, I'd say we could go a lot further. If you ask me that question today, we can go even further than that, because every generation of advanced technology leads to another breakthrough. So yeah, while we're getting to optimal ball speeds across the face, while we're getting to optimal accuracy, we're not really optimized yet. But what we don't have is maximized inertia properties, optimized launch conditions on a consistent basis the way we'd like to. There's a lot of different things we can do. Dynamic player testing and convert it into more distance and accuracy, and to help golfers play much better than they do today. So while I can't disclose all the engineering that we're working on, what I can share with you and all of your listeners that I'm sure are very interested in what next technology is coming, is I can assure you we will have something not only in 2019 but in 2021 that unlock new doors to taking independent variables from launch, speed, and spin and bringing them together so that you can find distance and accuracy moving forward. And we're very, very proud of that. That's really the core of what we do at TaylorMade, which is continue to innovate and find new technologies that take us further. So I don't have any concerns about our ability over the next decade to continue to build products and bring technologies that help every golfer play the game better.
And David, as I was looking through the equipment, and you've got a couple of different ways you can go with the iron sets, right? You can go with the longer irons, right? A 4 iron through the gap wedge in the set. But you can also go a different way by taking out the 4, 5, and 6 irons and go with a 3, 4, 5 rescue and sort of have a hybrid set. Are you starting to see more players go sort of a mixed bag and get more hybrids in their bags as opposed to having the long irons anymore?
Well, Chris, it all depends on the player. And one of the things that we're big advocates of TaylorMade is to go see your local golf professional or go into, I heard you at PGA Superstore as one of your sponsors. Go and get fit. I mean, get onto a launch monitor, get into a hitting bay, get out to a practice tee, and have a qualified custom fitter work with you on the appropriate set composition for you. Because set comp in terms of whether it's a flow set, which is what we call a hybrid integrated set, 3, 4, and 5 hybrid, all the way through your mid irons into your short irons is one way to go. You can go with 1 or 2 hybrids, not 3. You can go with 1 hybrids, not 3, not 4. There's a lot of different ways to do this. And really what's happening is great fitters are utilizing all these technical options, and they're customizing those to the playing needs of the given player. So one could be how you want to create your set composition. Higher handicappers tend to have a little bit more difficult time getting the ball in the air with longer irons. So I'm sure some of your listeners are saying, yep, that's me. I get it. 3 and 4 irons are very difficult for me to get up in the air. So hybrids are low CG hybrids. They're mixed between metalwoods and irons, which help the ball go up in the air, and it's much more forgiving. So that's a wonderful way to go. We see some mid-handicappers that put a hybrid in place, but still want to play a 5, 6, and 7 iron through their short irons. And then we see some better players that stay with traditional set compositions or bring in UDI type products, which is what we call the ultimate driving iron products, available in a P790 iron, which is one of our real hot products right now, that work as well. So there isn't, I think the key here is, Chris, there isn't one solution for every player. And we've been leading this custom revolution literally for the past decade, ensuring that every golfer that wants to optimize his or her performance really should go get fit and understand what their ball speeds are, what shaft flex they need, ultimately what length or lie angle they need to build into their respective sets. So it really optimizes the way they play, because there really isn't any one type of play consistently across all golfers to play golf. And even if you correlate this back to some of the best players in the world that you mentioned before, each one of them is fit specifically into what works for them, or importantly, what works for them in the golf course setup that they're playing. So John Rahm at Augusta isn't playing the same set comp that he might play at Shinnecock, nor is Dustin, nor is Jason. They move products in and out of their bags contingent upon the golf course setup and certainly how they're playing in a given week.
So to that end, David, when you talk about the best players in the world coming in and out of different types of equipment, are they going different types of irons? Are they going different types of setup when you talk about more hybrids, less hybrids? Talk about what are they switching in and out, just for us to get an idea of how the best players in the world might be changing from week to week based on course condition.
Yeah, right. So obviously the best players in the world, one of the variables or characteristics that defines great players is that they're very consistent, right? Which is they can hit shots with almost every club in their bag and be able to hit them in a consistent way. Distance, launch, accuracy, how they want to work the ball right to left. But contingent upon course setup, guys will really move around. They move around higher lofted fairway woods to lower lofted fairway woods. Sometimes they put a 3-wood in the bag and a 5-wood. Sometimes they take the 5-wood out and just carry the 3-wood and replace the 5-wood at a hybrid or a driving iron. Typically, their mid irons, anything from a 4 or 5 iron all the way through their wedges, stays the same. They don't really move because those are the scoring products, right? But anything really below that, excluding the driver, can be moved in and out. And we see that with great frequency. So at Augusta, our players obviously like to turn the ball right to left on certain holes. I think of number 10. I think of number 13. Certainly on 15's a bit different, but you still can turn it off the right side there and get a little bit further down so you can get home in 2. But when you think about those holes, it's easier to turn a 3-wood over than perhaps it would be hitting, another club in your bag at that point in time. So the guys will move in and out of certain products contingent upon what the course setup is. But really more importantly, when we go back to average golfers, I say mid-handicap golfers that are trying to look for game improvement, the more forgiveness you can find with a set comp that's been customized for you, the better off you'll play. So really, that's the beauty of TaylorMade. We offer interchangeability across different product portfolios to help you play better.
David, a couple more before we let you go, and I've also switched over to the TaylorMade Spider putter, and my good friend Jim Everett, former Rams Pro Bowl quarterback, was kind enough to go on Twitter and show the world what my putting was like before I got the Spider putter. But I love the weight and stability of the head of the Spider putter. It feels to me like I'm getting more consistency, in my putting stroke now with that putter than I was with the other putters that I've been using. What kind of feedback are you getting from players that have come over to the Spider putter?
Yeah, Chris, we're seeing that feedback in a pretty consistent manner from all of those who have played Spider on tour, better playing amateurs, and importantly, golfers around the world. Spider has become, on almost a week-to-week basis right now, the #1 model on the PGA Tour in play. And we have two versions of it. We have the original Spider, which is the red product. We have it in a couple of different colors now, a Tour Platinum, which is silver, and a black one as well. And then we also have what we just launched called the Spider Mini, which is a little bit smaller version, a little bit more compact head. But what's working for most in the putter are the inertia properties. So this is another technical term that some of your listeners may be aware of. But inertia, or moment of inertia, is a club's resistance to twisting at impact. And it's essentially a measure of stability. And so when you can have a putter that is such high inertia, has such high inertia values as Spider, that has that type of stability, the likelihood of keeping the ball on line is more likely than it would be in a lower inertia product. And the reason Jason Day, who in my mind right now is the best putter in the world, and the statistics, strokes gained in putting, would prove that out as well. The reason he originally went into Spider, and then subsequently Dustin went into it, and then everybody else that I've talked about today has either been in Spider or is in Mini Spider now, what makes it the #1 putter on tour in terms of the model usage. They have all said the same thing. The stability of the putter is unbelievable. I just make my normal putting stroke, and the putter stays right square to center line, which is great, which means you're going to get the ball on line and you're going to hold more putts. The other thing you mentioned is feel. It's got such incredible feel. It comes off the face. We have an insert called Pure Roll. So the other thing in putting that is critically important is that that golf ball gets rolling immediately off the face. If a golf ball skids off the face, it has a higher likelihood to get offline. You don't want a golf ball in the air off your putter. You want it on the ground and rolling on the green as quickly as you can. Pure Roll gets the ball rolling faster than any other insert in the game of golf right now. So when you talk about a high inertia, highly stable putter with a Pure Roll insert that gets the ball rolling, combined with a polymer insert material which gives you incredible feel, we believe we've designed one of the greatest putters that's ever been built. And as a net result, the proof ultimately is in how many putts you make, and the feedback we're getting, yours and millions of golfers around the world that continue to look to Spider for their solution in putting. It's coming to fruition for us, and we've become a major force in the putter business, and we're really excited about that.
David, let's talk a little bit about golf balls before we let you go. And TaylorMade golf balls have become our go-to golf ball. My son, I think I was telling you last time, who was finishing up his junior year in high school and playing high school golf. And he's got a much higher swing speed than I do. Boy, he loves the TP5X and the TP5. I've been playing the Project A golf balls, which you've also improved this year. Remind our listeners how to decide what the right golf ball is for them and the things that you've done to take the Project A's to the next level.
Yeah, so it's really simple, and I would just categorize TP5 and TP5X. Those are 5-piece cast urethane multi-layer golf balls. That is the most premium, high-technology performance golf ball that TaylorMade makes. The X is for higher swing speed players, and the TP5 is for moderate swing speed players. They are unequivocally the finest golf balls in the world. In my opinion, they're certainly played by, and they're played by Jason Day and Dustin Johnson and Justin Rose and Rory McIlroy. In fact, Rory McIlroy came to TaylorMade not just because of our equipment technology, but primarily because of our golf ball. Works better in the wind, launches slightly higher, goes further, and feels incredible around the greens. And the 5-piece construction really enabled us to unlock distance off the tee and still incredible short game feel and great putting ability on the greens. The Project A ball, Chris, is fantastic. That's an amateur golf ball. It's It's a 3-piece construction, also a urethane golf ball. And that golf ball is built a little bit more for distance, and you compromise just a little bit of feel. Not as much as you would in an ionomer or what we call a Surlyn golf ball, but certainly you don't get as much feel and spin as you would with a product like TP5 and TP5X on the short irons. So they're both incredible golf balls. Project A is really built for a tour quality platform, but with the amateur in mind. And the TP5 and TP5X are really for every golfer looking for optimized distance and performance. You cannot compromise anything with TP5 or TP5X.
And David, speaking of the Project A golf balls, and just in time for Father's Day, you've got a special package of 6 of those golf balls with dadisms printed on them, which I got a huge kick out of. Talk about those and where that inspiration came from.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. We, as serious as we are, and you can probably tell by the tone and intensity in my voice around golf equipment, and we love to talk about golf equipment and golf balls at TaylorMade. It's what we do, and we're very, very fortunate to be able to do it. One of the things we really try to do with customers is give them the opportunity to have some fun with our products as well. I mean, a game of golf is so much fun. I think the entire community of golf, every player population that I get to engage with, everywhere around the world just loves this game the way you and I do and the way your listeners do. And from time to time want some personalization approach or customization approaches to their products. And in this case, during Father's Day, and I think about my dad in this context, put some dadisms, some fun beliefs and customize and personalized approaches to your golf ball. You can simply go to TaylorMadeGolf.com, look up Project A dadisms, and see what's going on and have a lot of fun with this. And what a wonderful gift for your dad to give him a 3-piece urethane golf ball, from your son or from your daughter. For a guy that loves the game of golf, there is no better gift than that, other than maybe an M3 or an M4 driver. But it's a ton of fun. And so we're having a lot of fun with it. Go online and have your listeners check it out. It's wonderful. We'll have them to your doorstep as quickly as we possibly can. And we're all going to enjoy that and have some fun with dads on Father's Day.
David, let our listeners know, how can they stay up to date with all the great things you guys are doing, whether it's online or it's over social media?
Yeah, thanks, Chris. TaylorMadeGolf.com is our website, and everything you need to know there is centrally located. The website's terrific. It's super interactive, and you can get any information you want about our products, our athletes, or importantly, our company and our care for our customers. So that's number one. Instagram, Facebook, as well as Twitter, at TaylorMade Golf. Real simple. And the beauty of that is you can follow these real-time technologies and these real-time athletes in real time as we work through tour events and certainly product launches. So I hope your listeners get a chance to engage with us. We'd love to hear from you. Provide us feedback of what you think about our company, our products, our athletes, and we'll get back to you right away. We're highly interactive with everybody.
David, thank you so much for taking time out of your night to come back and be a part of the show. I always enjoy sitting back and listening to you talk about the great things that you guys are doing and the innovations you have currently and maybe a little bit of a peek under the tent for what's coming down the road. Thanks for being here, and hope you'll do it again real soon.
Chris, you got it. Thanks again. And for everything you do for golf, we appreciate it. Love listening to you.
Thanks, David. All the best to you and your family, my friend. We'll catch up soon.
Okay. Bye-bye. Likewise.
See you, Dave. That's David Abeles, and again, he is the president and CEO of TaylorMade Golf. Fantastic stuff, folks. And just to give you a quick peek under the tent, what's on the Project A golf balls with the dadisms? We got, about 6 or 7 of them. They say, tea time is me time. Do you think I'm made of money? Back in my day, life isn't fair. Go ask your mother. Put down your phone. How great is that, right? Great gift for Father's Day, and I think those are fantastic. And again, I'm playing the Project A golf balls now, and I love them. I think the distance and the feel that I get are fantastic, and my son is playing the TP5X. Again, he swings much faster than I do, but we love both golf balls. Those were the first thing. When we were switching, looking around at different products to get really involved with, the first thing that we switched, to David's point, were to the TaylorMade golf balls. Just love them. Absolutely fantastic stuff. Look forward to getting David back on the show again real soon. All right, before I get to my next guest, PGA Pro Jason Hase, I want to remind you about a couple of our sponsors. First, I want to give a shout out to our friends over at Power Bar. Energy and focus on the course are essential whether you're playing on tour in your club championship or just your weekend 4-ball with your buddies. Par Bar, the golfer's nutritional bar, can help you with both of those things, energy and focus. Eat some before you get to the first tee and the rest every 3 holes until you're finished, and you're going to play with more energy and focus to win. Par Bar was developed by a lifelong golfer and a food scientist to help all golfers play their best. Go online to parbargolf.com and order yours today. We're also excited to be partnering with the Ben Hogan Golf Equipment Company. All of Ben Hogan irons and wedges are handcrafted one at a time in their Fort Worth, Texas factory. No mass production, no shortcuts. You can order custom-made irons, wedges, hybrids, and more at benhogangolf.com. They build their clubs to your specification, and best of all, they charge you a fraction of the typical retail price. Check out their complete line of forged irons, wedges, utility irons, hybrids, bags, and accessories by going online to benhogangolf.com. We're also proud to be partnering with Russ Holden and the folks over at Caddy for a Cure. One of the most unique opportunities in the world of professional golfers is available to you through Caddy for a Cure. Spend a day inside the ropes with one of the world's best players as their caddy. It's a fantastic way to have the time of your life while supporting our wounded service members and Fanconi anemia. You're going to get to walk side by side with your tour player experiencing professional golf as an insider. In addition to the amazing experience you're going to get a fantastic gift package from Caddy for a Cure, which includes Under Armour logoed apparel and an eyewear package, a tour-grade caddy bib suitable for autographs and framing, a tin cup ball marking gift, chef's cut real jerky, and professional photographs from your day. Go online to caddyforacure.com. That's CADDYFORACURE, caddyforacure.com, to learn more. Now joining me on the French Lick Resort guest line is Jason Hase. Let me give you some background on Jason. He's from Tucumcari, New Mexico. He attended the New Mexico Military Institute in Roswell, New Mexico. Yes, that Roswell. We'll talk about that in a minute. He earned his certification as a PGA professional from the PGA of America back in 1998. He's been the vice president of the Northern Texas PGA section since 2016. He also served as the president of the Northern Texas PGA West chapter in 2012 and 13. Jason has been recognized with several awards. He's won the Bill Straussberg Award, which is the top honor given by the Northern Texas PGA West Texas chapter. He won that award in 2005. 7, 8, and 2016. He was the chapter's Golf Professional of the Year in 2011, 12, and 13, and Teacher of the Year in 2009 and 2010. He was the Merchandiser of the Year for private clubs in the Northern Texas PGA West chapter in 2004 and 2006. He was the Manager of the Year in 1998 for the 4-Star Golf Corporation while at Scott Park, and he won the Northern Texas PGA Western Championship in 2010. He helped start up and coach the golf program at Angelo State University, which is a Division II school, and he helped get that program to national prominence in only their second year of existence. He's been the director of golf at clubs like Fair Oaks Country Club, San Angelo Country Club, and last October he moved over to Buffalo Dunes up in Garden City, Kansas, and I'm honored to have Jason with me here tonight on Next on the Tee. Hey, Jason, thanks for coming on the show.
Chris, how are you this evening?
I'm fantastic, Jason. It's been a great show so far, and I'm glad you're a part of it. Thank you for joining me.
Well, third time is a charm. So.
Indeed. So, Jason, I got to ask you, New Mexico Military Institute, being in Roswell, New Mexico, ever see anything you couldn't explain in the sky while you were there?
Well, you know, when we would get an east or west wind, we would get some nice smells coming in from some of the dairies around town, but I never saw anything that you really couldn't explain away, I guess. That was a fun time playing golf there at New Mexico Military Institute, and I actually got to go back there this March. One of the roles that I've got to help out with since moving up to Garden City is I'm kind of a volunteer assistant coach for the Garden City Community College golf team. And our first tournament of the spring was there, and it was kind of fun going back and seeing the school and the golf course. And obviously there's some great Mexican food in Roswell, so we had plenty of that.
And Jason, when I was doing the research on you, I read that your father introduced you to the game of golf at the age of 3. What's the story behind getting started so young?
You know, my mom and dad were educators, and we moved around a lot, and it was just something that my dad kind of introduced me to the game. I just kind of fell in love with it. Kind of introduced me to the game in like you said, in Tucumcari. And then we kind of moved away to East Texas, and then kind of bounced around, and then my dad actually grew up in a small town called Deming, New Mexico, east of Las Cruces, and I think I was in 5th grade, and my first job was at the golf course. We would get paid $1.50 for picking the range, 5-gallon bucket of balls, and the golf pro there, his name is James Williams. He's still there, and I talk to him kind of on a regular basis every month or so, check in and stuff, and that's where I was really introduced to the game. Played my 8th grade and freshman year in high school there. Then we moved away to a town called Animas, New Mexico, which is down in the Boot Hill, and they're famous for. I was part of a football team that won 69 games in a row and several state championships in a row. Then we were there for a year, and then we moved to. I actually graduated from Socorro High School, Socorro, New Mexico. My dad was my high school principal, and from there ended up in Roswell, and then after Roswell ended up back in Deming, New Mexico as an assistant golf pro for James. So
Jason, talk about, at what point did you decide, through the course of all the things that you've done, you know what, PGA Professional, teaching the game, that's the direction I really want to go in. What led you down that path to decide teaching was it for you?
Just being involved and watching people, trying to make the game of golf more enjoyable. You give somebody a golf lesson, and they're really excited to tell you about how their next round was, and it's just something I've always enjoyed, from junior golf to high school, college, to just the everyday average player. You want to make the game more enjoyable because it is. I always like to say it's a character building sport. It can bring out the best in you, or it can bring out the worst in you in times, and we want to make the game as enjoyable as possible, and player development is, I think, the key.
And to that end, Jason, when you're talking about making the game more enjoyable, and you've done a lot of programs, done a lot of work with junior golfers, how do you make the game more enjoyable and more exciting for them and keep them involved in the game?
No, it's being creative, thinking outside the box a little bit. The other thing I think that doesn't happen a whole lot, it's starting to happen more and more, is you've got to get your juniors out on the golf course sooner. A lot of guys will have a junior clinic, 2 or 3 times during the summer, and those kids are on the range and hitting golf balls, and that's their only experience. We'll hit golf balls a couple days, and then we'll go out on the golf course and let them play, whether it be with a real golf ball, with our itty bitties, as I call them. We'll have them hit tennis balls. We use the snag golf equipment. Just make it enjoyable. And it's not about, we try to make it not about a score or anything at that age. We just want them to have fun. That kind of probably leads right into PGA Junior League Golf. That's been one of the greatest things that the PGA has done in the last 10 years.
And Jason, as you start having your junior players starting to play in tournaments, how do you help them deal with starting to play in front of crowds for the first time and handling tournament pressure for the first time?
We try to create some scenarios or some environments where we put a little pressure on the player, whether it be we're going to hit this chip shot, and you've got to get up and down from this position, and if you don't, you owe me 5 push-ups or you owe me 5 sit-ups. The other side of that equation is if they do, I tend to do a lot of push-ups and a lot of sit-ups from time to time. It's about making it fun and just keeping it fun. Tournament golf or playing golf in front of a crowd can be a little difficult, and we're always trying to just create a situation or environment where they have to have a little pressure on themselves.
Jason, I want to get some playing lessons for our listeners. And as a guy who played and taught in New Mexico and Western Texas and now in Kansas, I'm sure you've dealt with lots of windy conditions. You've probably been playing in it your whole life. For those of us who can't hit the Tiger Stinger. What's that?
I said it doesn't blow in Kansas at all. So
is that right?
There's no wind up here.
For those of us who can't hit the the low screamer, the Tiger Stinger, what should we do if we find ourselves out in a windy condition, whether it's a headwind or a crosswind? What can we do differently or better to make sure that we hit good golf shots and we're not hitting things that are ballooning up into the wind and we're losing distance?
Probably the easiest and simple thing is to take more golf club. Just because the player has hit a wedge once in their life 150 yards, they think that they can hit it 150 yards all the time. A lot of times you can take an 8-iron or 7-iron or 9-iron and choke up on the golf club a little bit, play a little more in the center of your stance, make a full golf swing, and that ball is going to come off a little bit lower. You can control it a little bit better. And then there's some other tricks. If you can get a little more weight on your left side, or have your spine a little more on top of the golf ball, you're obviously going to hit it with a little more descending blow. Trap it a little bit more, get it to come out a little bit lower. So, the best thing is grab your local PGA Professional and just say, hey, come watch me hit golf balls for 10, 15 minutes, and I'm trying to hit this shot. What do you think, and can you help me out? And I'm going to say 9 times out of 10, the golf pro is going to actually go out there and help, because that's what we want to do. It's what we enjoy doing.
Talk about from 100 yards in, right? Because typically from 100 yards in, we've got a sand wedge or some sort of wedge in our hand. But again, into the wind, whether it's a headwind or a crosswind, now we got a club that's got a lot of loft. Is there a different strategy we should be using from the shorter distances? Should we play more bump and run? Strategically, what should we be doing differently in a high wind situation when we've got a shorter shot with a higher lofted club?
The first thing, again, I would go back and say, is that club the correct one? I mean, are we going to try to hit a 70, 80, 90 yard low shot headwind, crosswind with a sand wedge, that your most lofted club in the bag is going to launch it the highest? There's a lot of things. I like wedges and 9-irons. I mean, you can dial the face open on a 9-iron, add a little bit of loft, and still kind of control that trajectory. I'm of the opinion golf is, meant to be played on the ground. It's not meant to be played up in the air, even though those shots look good. If you've got a big crosswind, or you've got a big headwind, and you've got some open area in front of the green, the approach opens up. There's nothing wrong with taking a 7 or 8-iron, landing it 5, 6, 7 yards toward the green, and bouncing it up into the middle of the green.
And speaking of the green, when we're on the green, is there anything we should be doing differently with our putting stroke or the setup of the golf ball when we're in windy conditions?
I like to, obviously we're going to widen our stance a little bit. You're going to kind of have to hunker down. But I still, especially when the conditions get tough, whether it's wind, rain, One of the things that I like my students to focus on the most is the rhythm of their stroke. Most of the times, or at least in my experience, people are going to get kind of a really long backswing and kind of decelerate. And one of the things I kind of preach the opposite. I want a little bit shorter swing, and I want to see some more acceleration through the golf ball. But I want them to do that in a rhythmical manner, whether it's, you can use the analogy of a metronome. I actually have, there's a million apps out there. I've actually got one called Metro Timer that, we'll sit there and we can dial it up or down, so many beats per minute, and actually try to get them to, create a stroke that's, similar to that beat that they're hearing, and that takes care of a lot of it. I don't know if that kind of makes sense or not, but, the rhythm of the golf, of the putting stroke, I think is huge and doesn't get, talked about enough.
Jason, talk about the golf course you're at now, Buffalo Dunes.
So, I guess I was at San Angelo Country Club for 17 years. I took the job at Buffalo Dunes last October, and it's a municipal golf course. It's the number 2 municipal golf course in the state of Kansas. Our golf course superintendent, his name is Clay Payne. He came from Ballyneal in Colorado, and he's fantastic. The city of Garden City golf is definitely on their radar. We have a big AJGA event at the end of June called the Kansas Junior Open. We have the longest running Pro-Am in Kansas called the Southwest Kansas Pro-Am. And then probably the coolest thing is we have a ladies LPGA Symetra Tour event called the Garden City Charity Classic in September. And the last 3 or 4 winners of the Charity Classic have gone on to get their LPGA Tour card, and it's pretty cool to be have those events, kind of flagship events for us and for the city of Garden City, a town of about 40,000 people in southwest Kansas. It is a big golf area, big golf town.
Jason, before we let you go, talk about, you have some things coming up here in the next month or two that the people in that area need to go online, check out, and able to come out and take a look at Buffalo Dunes?
We've got obviously we've got our AJG event at the end of June 25th through the 29th. And it's definitely open to the public. We have some really solid players that come from around the country. We've got our city championship in July. There's a lot of programming that we're doing. Probably one of the things I'm most excited about is starting the 31st, this coming Thursday. It's going to be, we're calling it Junior Golf Day at Buffalo Dunes. It's going to be kind of reserved that morning for the kids. Green fee for anyone 21 and under is $7. And then if you're a junior and you want to take out a yearly membership, it's $100 for the year, which is unbelievable. And that's kind of an avenue that I wouldn't necessarily say has underperformed, but it's definitely something that we are going to grow, and Buffalo Dunes is definitely going to be a junior golf mecca, hopefully here in the next 2 or 3 years.
So Jason, let our listeners know, how can they stay up to date with all the great things that you're doing, whether it's online or it's over social media? So
you can go to our website, buffalodunes.org. And they can follow us, City of Garden City on Twitter, our Facebook page, Buffalo Dunes, Twitter, Buffalo Dunes, Facebook page. You can follow me on Instagram at Hase PGA, or you can follow me on Twitter at Hase Jason PGA. And there's definitely some avenues where we can get some information out. So it's going to be an exciting summer, at least up here. So.
Well, there you go. Jason, thank you so much for taking time out of your night and coming and being a part of the show. It was great having you here. I hope you'll come back and do it again sometime.
Absolutely, Chris. I appreciate it. Like I said, third time's a charm. Look forward to running into you in the near future. And again, it's always fun listening to you. The show is fantastic, and you're great for golf. And like David said earlier, thank you for everything that you do for the game and promoting the game and all that stuff. So I really, really appreciate your time and appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. Thank you for that very much, Jason. Take care. All the best, you and your family. We'll catch up soon.
Sounds good. Thank you.
See you, Jason. That's Jason Hase, and again, he spells his last name Hase. So it's when you're looking him up online or on social media, that's how you'll find him. It's great to have him as part of the show and doing some great things out there in Kansas, and hopefully we get the privilege of having him back on the show again real soon. All right, folks, it is time for me to put a bow on this episode of Next on the Tee. Our sincere thanks again go out to Mitch, Laurance, David Abeles, and Jason Hase for joining me tonight. Please give me your thoughts. Check out our page on Facebook, Next on the Tee with Chris Mascaro. Share your comments with me there. Plus, if you've got a question for one of our future guests or someone who's been on the show, please let me know. We'll be glad to try to get those questions answered for you. Please also check out our website, nextonthetee.net, to see who some of our future guests are going to be. Plus, there you can stream or download any of our archive episodes. It links you right back to our page over on Podbean, and we can't thank our good friends on Podbean enough for their support. We're featured right there in their golf section. It means a great deal to us. They're fantastic folks. And if you love podcasts across any genre, please go check it out, podbean.com, or download the Podbean app. Please also check out our sister show on the football side, Thursday Night Tailgate, with me and my co-host Bob Lazzari and our announcer Joe LaGianusa. That show airs live every Thursday night from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time. You can stream it live right here on Blog Talk Radio, and that show, like this one, also available over on Podbean and on iHeartRadio as well. On Thursday Night Tailgate, we're joined every week by 5 NFL legends sharing their stories from their playing days and giving us their insights into what's going on around the NFL today. Plus, we highlight 2 players every week in our Spotlight on the Positive segment that are doing great things in their communities. You can find that show, like I say, online at ThursdayNightTailgate.com. This show, nextonthetee.net. Folks, thanks again for choosing to listen to this show today. We know you got hundreds of podcasts and shows you have the opportunity to listen to. We really appreciate the fact that you are making Next on the Tee one of them. Until next week, hit 'em straight, my friends.
You've been listening to Next on the Tee with Chris Mascaro, where PGA and LPGA pros and top instructors and media members go to tell their stories. Join us the same time every Tuesday to hear more stories about the game we love from people who love sharing those stories with you. It's all about the great game of golf. It's all about the great game of golf.